question for you. What do the John Lewises, the Foster Williams, the Pete Hernandez, the Ron Laytons all have in common? Love of other people. Everybody say amen. Okay, you can talk. I just wanted to check that out. The passion for their work. Would you agree? It's very obvious. You can see it, all right? We want to have passion for our job. We want to have passion for our company. And I want to help you get there. So all the things that you're doing in job search is to help you get to that point. So why interviewing? Well, how many of you fear interviewing? How many of you fear raising your hands to show that you fear interviewing? Okay. All right. We always have some consternation and some concerns and a little bit of worry about what the heck we're going to do in an interview. And so I focused on the interviewing part of job search because I feel that everything we do points to the interview. So your resume, your LinkedIn, your networking, all of that work is to get that interview. And then when we get to the interview, and we don't want to blow it, this is where the rubber meets the road. So some people say the best interviewer gets the job, not the best candidate. That means we can articulate and explain and demonstrate and pass the audition of the interview so that we can represent ourselves. Now, it's up to them to make the decision, but I've done the best I can do on my side. And so I offer multiple presentations, and this is a new one that I put together. If it doesn't work, it's a pilot. If it works, it'll be a successful implementation. So we'll go with that. But I offer several things. And the idea is to get us to the point where what we're thinking and feeling as we go into the interview is positive, high interest, energy, enthusiasm. If you want to say, Walt, what's the one thing we can say we can do that'll make a difference? That's the one thing that can make the biggest difference right there. But if you're not feeling that way, you're not thinking that way, because how we're thinking and feeling is going to drive everything we do. How we talk, what we say, the inflection in our voice, tone, everything's going to drive that. And so this particular session is on the fundamentals. I offer an interview success workshop. I do, I'm on the pit crew panel as a panelist. I've been there for the last 10 years. My background is information technology. I have over 20, over 30, a lot of years in information technology. But what is it that we can do here to make a difference in our interview? So the workshop deals with the fundamentals. So I'm going to talk about a lot of the things that I do in the workshop. And what do you say is the price you must pay for blowing the competition away? It's easy to see how excited you'll be. There is no cost. It's free. So the workshop is free, and the pit crew is free. So Ron does a super job, a fantastic job with the pit crew. I heartily recommend you take advantage of that. And my suggestion is come learn the fundamentals, come learning the selling portion, and then participate. How many times do you need to practice? 4 or 5. Every time you practice, you get better. So we strongly suggest practicing to get that skill and get it up. All right. So thanks very much for the invitation today. I am a self-certified interview success coach. Everything's got to have some kind of certification. So I put together a plan, all the test, everything to be certified. Took me 3 times to pass it. It's very expensive, but anyway, now I'm a self-certified interview success coach. So I offer suggestions. I love telling people what to do. Doesn't work very well. So I offer suggestions to you. These are things that I would like you to consider. Listen to them as from the perspective of the interviewer. How do they take it? People come up and say, well, what happens if I do this in an interview? And I said, if you were the interviewer and somebody did that to you, how would you feel about it? And they answer their own question. What would it be right? Would it be right to do this? Would it be right to do that? Okay, so the interview success shop. Interview with confidence. That's what the guideline is on that. So what are we going to talk about? I'm going to talk about a few things in the beginning. We're going to talk about the greeting. We're going to talk about some questions from selected categories. The workshop deals with categories. There's 12 basic categories of questions. How do we handle those particular categories? What's the motive behind the question? What's the approach? What's the strategy? What are our options that we might use in doing that? And is there a potential follow-up question that we might want to offer based on what their topic is, what they're asking us, and how we respond? Then we're going to talk about closing the sale, which I think is one of the weakest parts of the interview, is closing the deal. Because we are what? We're selling, and we're selling ourselves. So what are the fundamentals? It's selling. We're going to sell ourselves. We want to have a way of selling ourselves so that we positively differentiate ourselves from other candidates. I got an MBA in college, and they asked, what was the one thing in business that has most impact? And the words were product differentiation. Any of you who've been in marketing understand those terms and know what it is. Why buy my product over another product? All right? All the advertising says, ours is the best, whatever it might be. And so we want to be that best product. We want to differentiate ourselves. And I'm saying if we do these types of things that I'm going to talk about today, that's going to help us get to that positive differentiation. Now, they may buy it, they may not buy it. My job is to present myself well. Their job is to decide. So when we walk away from an interview and say, I screwed that up, I messed this up, I did that, well, that's your learning point. So you got two ways to learn. You can do practicing, or you can do it the hard way. You can just go to regular interviews and learn as you go through regular interviews. I'm a very logical person. If you don't practice, I don't understand that. It's just totally illogical to me why we would do that. But some of us are emotional decision-driven. See, my right side of my brain doesn't exist. All the neural couplers there stop. There's nothing on that side. All the decisions are made logically. Well, not everybody does. I majored in math, and that's the cause of it. But we make a lot of almost all of our decisions are more on the emotional side than on the logical side. But anyway, so consider this as I'll talk to you about some things for the interview. So what are we selling? Ourselves. All right, define ourselves. Our experience. You're going to have to speak up. How we can fix their problem. Okay? Okay, I say it's three things, and you're on two of them already. It's who we are, our personality, our soft skills, how we work, how we approach, culture fit, likability, sometimes people call it. But the idea is, what kind of person am I? Does that fit? Would you like working with me or not? Does it see me in that role? Can I do the job? Probably. Once you get to the interview, you can probably do the job. Ron asks it all the time in the pit crew. He said, everybody that gets an interview can probably do the job. So why are they hiring us? It isn't just because we can do the job. There's other factors to consider into that, all right? And then what is our knowledge? What is our experience? What is our expertise? What are our skills? Yep, gotta sell that. And then we gotta sell the I help. This is the weakest part sometimes of an interview, is I can tell you what I've done, but I don't tell you the value of what I've done. Okay? So I'm in IT. What's the value of what I do in IT? I produce reports. I give you information to help with processes. Well, but that's not the value of what I do. The value of what I do is what those things do. So with that, I can help these type of things. So look back at your life. Look at your career. Say, what kind of things have I done? Why did I do them? Why are they hiring us? They're not hiring us to be a project manager. They're hiring us because we are a project manager and can do it, but they're hiring us for the results of that. Do you sell those effectively and efficiently in an interview? That's what we want to do. So I help. All relevant to the job. All relevant to the job. So let me just take a second on the job description. I do another presentation on that. I did it yesterday for Career Care and Bill Brewer's group. And so let me just start a little bit with the preparation, what that goes through. So I took a job description. I said, let me mark all the I ams, the I do's, and the I helps in a job description. So what are they looking for? Who are they looking for? So I list the soft skills on there listed there. You do this kind of activity. You'll lead implementations. There's a lead I am. There's a do lead implementation. For what? All right, for what reason? And so I put them in there and I colored them all up and said, okay, here's my starting point. We can't trust job descriptions. I've heard stories. John just landed this last week, and he said he went through several interviews, and it was about the third interview when they said, we got to go back and rewrite this job description. I think we know what we want now, right? Well, that's a lot of time and a lot of effort and everything like that we go through to help them do their job. But that's okay. It worked out sufficiently because he was beginning to tell them and show them what he could help. And there's, we need to put that in the job description, all right? So I did that, and then I can go back and look and say, okay, how do I sell do I help for this particular job? How do I do that? So let's start with a greeting. When does selling start? It starts at the greeting, first time we meet each other, right? Lots of times it's on Zoom or some application on recruiting application that they have. So what do I hear most of the time? How many people interview and hire people have done that in the past? It's hard for me to see you because they got these lights in mine. So, okay, there's a few of us, all right? So you know what I'm talking about here. What do you hear most of the time in the greeting? Great. Thank you for taking time to talk with me today. That's probably the number one answer that I get. But where does selling start? If it starts here, how big a sell is that? Is it any different than anybody else? Is there anything wrong with it? No. There's nothing wrong. It's not bad, okay? But we're missing the opportunity to start selling because they're going to start looking at us. We are judging people. We're going to judge each other on how we look, how we dress, how we appear, how we talk. In 1971, they said, Walt, you got to smile more. Well, I'm still working on it. Okay? It's kind of difficult for me to do that. And when they take my picture, it's terrible. I tell you what, smile, Walt, which is a facial contortion. It's not a smile. So if you look at my LinkedIn picture, it took me a lot of effort to get that smile on there. And if your picture on LinkedIn doesn't have a smile, get another one. Smile. Be friendly. Be approachable. Yep. Right? Okay. Taking the time with me today, that's just great. All right? But let me give you a suggestion of how I think we can approach it. So here's a sample way to do it. You don't have to do it my way, but this is a sample of something. And I want to think about what? So the whole objective of the workshop is sell, not respond. Not just respond, but sell. Get into the selling mindset. This is going to be sales 101. This is some things we do in sales all the time in sales. And so we're in it. Maybe you've been asked, how many of you are in sales? And everybody should raise their hand because we're all in sales now, all right? So before we get started, I want to tell you how excited I am about this position, about this role, about this job. Is it genuine? Is it authentic? Are you thinking and feeling that way? Because if you aren't, it isn't going to work. I'm excited about this job. Okay? That doesn't work. But if you're generally thinking and feeling that, I'm excited. Are you or are you not? Right? So if you are, this is going to be easy. I look forward to having a conversation with you about this job and the company. I would like to set a tone for a conversation. Now, if you're executive level, conversations are they're easy. Executive level, director level, et cetera, are generally always conversational. You don't have to work at getting into a conversation. But as Ron would say, we don't want to have the dictatorial, we don't have the interrogation type of job interview. And the way we do that is we ask questions. Right, Ron? He's nodding, I can tell. So I look forward to having a conversation or discussing this job. I like to set the tone for having a conversation. Now, it may not work. They may say, hey, I had one person come out and said, well, how'd the interview go? He said, well, I asked a question about their leadership style, and the person pointed to me and said, look, this is about you, not about me. Now, do you want to work there or not? Most people leave managers, not companies. Would you agree? Most people leave some of the leadership style. I can't stand working there. The culture of the company, the way they get things done is terrible. I can't stand that. So I look forward to having a conversation about the job in the company, all right? Or like discussing, this role, something like that. I look forward to making a significant contribution in this role. I look forward to making a difference here. I look forward to saying, what is it that I can do to help the company, to help you, to help the team? be successful. All right, I look forward to talking to you about that and finding out what those things are, okay? So that's just a suggestion there. So we have to demonstrate this, not just say it. The interview is an audition. Would you agree? It shows me how you are communicating. It shows me how you are thinking. It shows me how you process. It shows me how you work. It shows me what you do and involve and how you get through that. It shows me where your focus is. All right? So the first question is, do you have any training? I don't hire you to train you, but we need some training sometimes, all right? And that might be something important, but we're certainly not going to put that out as number one. Okay, why do I need this job? I need the benefits. Okay, let me hire you. Let me give you a no. We can't bring up benefits until the offer, right? So we do this, and it has to be genuine and authentic. So I'm going to take some categories out of the categories that I've got in the workshop. These are not all of them, but these are some significant, and talk about how do we approach these? How do we go about these types of questions? You may not get these questions, all right? That's not the point of the workshop. The point is to say these things. So every time we get asked a question, we got to look at these factors. Number one, what was the question? Now, if you are not sure what they mean by the question, you have crossed the threshold to ask for clarification. You do not want to answer something they did not ask. And you also want to wait a little bit. So I had one candidate, he was practicing, and he said, what do you know about Microsoft Azure? All right, for the technical people in the world, you know what that is, operating system, all the background in Microsoft. He heard the word, he started answering the question after the word Microsoft. And he answered what he knew about Microsoft. What did he demonstrate? I'm not a good listener. I don't pay attention. I want to jump in and answer. I want to talk before you finish talking. It's more important for me to talk than you to talk. All these things are coming through. I don't want to work with this kind of person. That's a very strong negative. You're not listening to me. But you get in and say, I'm a good listener. I can communicate well. I can go up and down the ladder. I can communicate with higher level, lower level, everybody. I can do all that. And then you don't even listen to the question. So he answered that instead. So if you pause, think about the question, think about your answer, and then answer it, it's going to be much better than just trying, I got to answer quickly. No, you don't. No, you don't. Stop and think about what you're going to say and then say it. Pause. Pause is a good one, right, Ron? All right. What's the motive behind the question? Why are they asking this question? What's the reason for it? Who is asking? Is this the comptroller? Is this a team member? Is this HR? Is this the hiring manager? Is it a VP? Who's asking this question? Is it from IT? Is it from marketing? Is it from sales? Is it from operations? What's their background? Where are they coming from in their world? So who is asking that question? And where are we in the hiring process? What do you think the most common question is that's asked early on in an interview? Okay. What do they want to know? When the phone rings and a recruiter calls you, what do they generally ask us? What's your salary requirements? It's often really upfront. So there's a few what we call knockout questions that come up front. We're going to talk about salary question. But it's like up front, it means this. But if it's at the end of the interview, and you're talking to the person who makes the decision to hire you or not, and they ask that question, I would come back with saying, are we talking about an offer? But I wouldn't say that in the beginning, right? So it depends on where you are in the process, who's talking, what the question is, what the motive is to look at that. So that's what we're going to look at for these, on these categories of questions that I've selected. Keep your responses brief. Start with brevity. Let them ask for more detail. 90 seconds max. When I practice, I can practice 60 seconds. I'm going to take 90. I can't do it. So I'm going to do it in that fashion. So what is our strategy and approach? What is our content? And how can we deliver that content? And is there a potential follow-up question? So let's talk about icebreakers. Icebreakers are the initial questions that are asked. They can be all over the map. It can be asked from anybody. It could be a hiring manager. It could be a recruiter. It could be anybody in the organization. It could be inside, it could be outside, all different things, all right? but they'll often give you some type of icebreaker question, and these are sample icebreaker questions. You may not tell me about yourself. It's pretty popular, but that not be the one. What brings you here? Walk me through your resume. I'll be glad to walk you through my resume, but it would be all right with you if I told you a little bit about myself. All right? That's called redirecting. It acknowledges the question. I don't want to answer it right now. I will answer it, but can I do something else first and to ask permission to do it? I want to make, this is called an opening statement. I want to make an opening statement. We may or may not be able to do that, but we can at least, it has to do that. So we want to, so how do we answer this type of question? These are some real things that were taken out of some research somebody did on HR. How many of your parents waiting for your children to leave? Makes you wonder, huh? So the motive behind telling me about yourself, well, who are you? I want to know that. I have interest in who you are. I kind of want to know what you've done. And some people have a negative filter. I'm saying I'm looking for reasons not to hire you. Now, if they're not looking for them, but you give them one, then they'll start filtering that. So Ron calls that, the showstopper question, which says, if I see something very negative in an interview, I'm done with the interview as far as making the decision. I'll keep on interviewing you, but I'm done, all right? So they're looking for something to knock us out. So what is our approach? Start with brevity, and we want to sell I am, I do, I help in that response. How do we do that? How do we put that in that response? You don't do it by just walking through your resume. Let me give you, this is not a tip on walking through your resume. If they ask you to do that, my suggestion is, in company A, I had this job title, and one of the things I achieved was this. In company B, here was the job title, and one of the things I achieved was this, and just walk them through. I help, but give them, your job title. And then if they want to know more information, they can ask. But that'll get us to it. Then if you want to do that, and it gets through that, now, can I tell you about myself? Can I give you some more information about myself? All right, so we start with that. 90 seconds, the 90-second resume. Then at the end of that, we can ask a question. This is an important question to ask up front, and I've chose an I am and an I help question. I used to put them separately, but now I've combined them. I don't usually encourage double questions because most people forget the second question. Tip, if they ask you a double question, write the second one down in your notes and answer the first one and then remember the second one. I am impressed by people who remember both questions. Are you? Yeah, you'd answered both of them. I mean, nobody practically does that. Strong differentiator on doing that, all right? So I have a question. And so I have a sample, how can I help you and who are you looking for? So I don't care how you phrase it, doing this. What kind of person are you looking for? What does it take to be successful in this role? And what can I do for you? How can I help you? Anything along that line. What do salespeople do all the time? What does the car salesman say to you when you walk into the showroom? Do they say, you want to buy this truck? No. What does the department store clerk say to you? How can I help you? Right? Sales 101. Find out what it is. Now, I got some ideas maybe from the job description, but I want to know what you want. So if I'm talking to IT, that may be a different answer than operations or sales or marketing or whatever, right? How can I make a difference? And what can I do for you, all right? And I ask both of those. So why did I do that? Because that's what I'm going to sell to. This is most important to them, so that's what I'm going to focus. I'll write this down. Take notes during your interview. You can ask me, okay, if I take notes, you can do that. But I'm impressed with somebody that takes notes during an interview. Are you, as an interviewer? We have a lot of candidates come through, Ron, and some of them, when we give them the feedback, they don't take a single note. Some of them write every single one of them down. Which one stands out, Ron? The one who takes the notes says, hey, I'm writing this down. I'm going to do something about that. Ron and I both are in the interviewing business, right, and helping people with that. And it's like, now that you know these things, it'll be good if you do them, right? People don't, how are you going to remember this? How are you going to remember what to do? So anyway, take some notes about that and do that. So then you can say, okay, what do you want to talk about first? How can I help you? All right, pick it, and we'll start discussing and talking about that, all right? So the 90 seconds resume, I don't know if that's the right really term for it, but here's my suggested outline. When I was in college, they put a computer across the hall. I've been in IT ever since. I was in a summer job. I love IT. I like it. It's kind of in my DNA. I love doing this kind of work, okay? So I was back in the punch cards days, if any of you are that old. Well, you know, being a veteran, I'm a Vietnam veteran. Anybody know what Vietnam is? It's been that long, all right? But just a simple sentence to do. I love doing this. I like doing this. This is, how did I get into my job? How did I become an accountant? How did I become this? How did I become that? What is it that I decided to do this work? I made some decisions somewhere in my life. This is what I want to do, all right? So it's really starting out on that. I like this kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to give you an I am and a do and I help little answer here. I'm going to say with my, among other things, and here's a couple of soft skills. I am very highly relevant, probably some of the most important in the job, and my experience in or expertise in, and here's a couple of things that are very relevant to my knowledge, skills, expertise, and background and experience. I can help you achieve, and here's a couple of things I can help you with. Generically, I can help you increase customer satisfaction, I can increase revenue, save money, whatever it might be. For example, and I add to that, a specific result. Here's how I improved our sales and sales of over $1 billion. And for example, on one particular RFP response, we won a deal of $3 billion. All right, so I was in a group that was working on responses to RFPs for what we call mega deals. We became the mega deal group. So how do we respond to these large RFPs? That's a request for a proposal. To these large organizations for making this business, all right? So I give a specific. So giving the specific drives at home. Everybody talks generics. Everybody talks, meet your objectives. I can increase revenue. I can do, oh, that's a generic. Great. Add a specific. Fire it in with, drive that nail into that board. Make it solid. Got this experience. Here's what I can do. For example, I did this. Some people say, tell a story. In that opening, I'm not for that because I want to be brief. They didn't ask me for a story, so I wait before I do that. My suggestion. There's other opinions out there. I'm trying to get them corrected, but they'll have other opinions. All right. So you can do what you want to do that you think is most effective for you. Add a specific role. Now, I left my last job. Why? Most of us downsized, reorganization, you know. All I have to say is left my job, we were downsized. I know all I need to know about downsizing. I don't need to go into any more detail. I don't need to tell you that business is going down, we had a merger, whatever it is. We just had a merger and acquisition. We were downsized. But we don't stop there, all right? And that brings me why I want to be here doing this job and why I want to work for this company. Some people said, one person asked me a question yesterday in the presentation, is it smart to have company knowledge in an interview? And I say, yes, because when I say I want to work here, I'm going to show you and demonstrate to you all the reasons why throughout this interview why I want to be here. I know what I'm talking about when I say I want to work here. I just say, oh, I want to work here. All right, I got to demonstrate that, put it all the way through. But right here, I'm going to give you a couple reasons. So these are the two, you want to get probably the most important, most highly relevant things you can pick to saying that, all right? And how did I find that, all right? Then the next thing I say, well, now I'm going to transition. I'm specifically interested in whatever your position is, and I ask the questions, the I am and the I help. Who you're looking for, how can I help you? What can I do for you in the next 6 to 9 months? Oh, okay, you need this, this, and this. All right, no. Which one you want to talk about first? So that's what I think about as an opening statement. You see the selling. You see the I am, I do, I help. I already answered why I left. I already answered why I want to work here. I always answered why I want this job. I already told you. Now I can pay attention to a whole lot of other things. These are common things that people are going to ask you. So I'll go ahead and tell them now. What do you think? Sound better? All right. Why'd you leave your last job? As a theorist, I want to tell the truth, but I don't have to tell the god-awful truth. All right? I don't have to tell you all of that. All right? Well, it's obvious that these are not wise things to say. Some people say, I was laid off. That's a question in my mind. Laid off gives me, say, were you fired? Or did you leave by your own intentions? Laid off is too general and too broad, so I don't say that. But I can say I was downsized. And that's all you have to say. You don't have to go through a long-winded, had a riff. Very easy. But we don't stop there. So Dilbert is my mentor. Sorry they took him out of the newspapers for some unwise comments that he made. So why did you leave your last job? Okay, why? Well, what's the motive behind that question? Why do they ask that question? Were you in jail? What caused you to leave for that? And how you answer that is going to make a big difference in how they see you, what they see as a potential candidate in that job. All right? This can be a showstopper if you don't answer this thing authentically, realistically. But here's the deal. So if I was downsized or had a restaurant, I was lit. And that's it, I'm done for that particular case. If you have other reasons for leaving, then we have to talk about it. Most people don't leave jobs on their own volition unless it helps them in their career to move to another job. And so you can say, things changed, the direction changed, it's no longer a fit, and this is why I'm here with you today, because I'm going to go right to the next thing and say, I'm going to say a very brief story. I'm going to be very professional. I'm not going to talk in details about it, whatever it might be. In the contract, we were outsourced. We had to relocate, and I wasn't willing to relocate. Whatever those reasons are, very, very simple and straight. But I am grateful for my time at that company. I like my job there. Something very positive. Was there parts of it that you liked? That's the truth. Was it all you liked? No, maybe not. But there were parts that you did. I did like that, all right? I contributed, and I learned a lot there. Very positive with that, all right? So I'm most proud of a specific result. I'm most proud of turning a customer around so that we would continue to get revenue of $200,000 a year. Okay? This is an accomplishment I made in my last job, something I did positively there, a very specific result. And I'm going to give you 2 reasons why I want this job and 2 reasons why I want this company. Well, didn't I cover that already in the opening statement? Well, if you haven't, here's where you do it here. So the key of why you left your last job is just not ending with why I left. It means continuing on and say, well, and it's like, if I hadn't left that job, I wouldn't have this opportunity. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have this opportunity to do that. So, I was downsized. I took the third option for early retirement for a company, all right? Oh, yeah, this is going to be great. Got a year's pay, got a real nice benefit for that. I'll be working in 3 months. Took me 15 months to find a job, okay? Because I was, when you work someplace for 25 years, you don't know what's going on in the market anymore. It's changed, right? And things are continuing to change. But I contributed. I did a lot. And here's why I want to work here, and here's why I want this job. So you take it from the negative towards the positive, okay, with that. So what can I do for you in the next 6 to 9 months? You say, I've done an outstanding job. It's performance review time. What have I done in my performance review that say you were so glad you hired me? What achievements? What are you looking for me to accomplish in this role? So I ask that. If I haven't already done it, right? So how about strengths? We get the strengths question, we get the weaknesses. I'm just going to pay attention to those. It's not so much that you'll get these, but they have some good learning points in them. So what are your strengths? What are your reasons for your success? Here's the different questions out of that particular category. It's a goodness of fit, but it's inside the strengths and the positive side of things. Yep. I'm very responsible. I know that I'm somebody, and I have proof. Walt, how do you know you're somebody? Because in my house, they said, somebody take out the garbage. I am somebody, all right? So what's the motive behind the strengths question? Why are they asking us that question? You may got any idea? We got a microphone out there to help people speak up. How many of you have asked that in an interview to a candidate? Somebody? So why are you asking this question? What do you think? You speak like I can't hear you.
Understanding their skills and actually what they focus on.
Right. What are the strengths that they feel you should have to be successful in this role, all right? And so it's a good question to ask. One is it a match? Yeah, those are mine. Those are my strengths. That's a match. Okay, finding out that. But it says, oh, this is something I can talk to. Yes. Uh-oh.
Question, because I was at the company long enough, I'm thinking of some companies I work for. Oh, I don't really need this thing, do I? Okay, be quiet, Megan. Don't tell them. So, hey, I used to ask that question because I was there at that company long enough that I knew I needed something in my team. I needed a functionality. I needed a certain strength in my team. And I would ask that question because I was fishing for that type of strength in the candidate that I was thinking about hiring.
There you go. But they have a definition or feeling of what our strength should be to be successful in this role. That's a great question to ask. And that's one of the things I suggest we ask up front. Who are you looking for? What kind of person are you looking for? What kind of strengths do they have? What are you looking for in that side of things, all right? And then we sell to that. Well, you kind of find out if it's a match. Oh, yeah, that's me. See, collaboration, how many times do you think collaboration shows up on a job description? All the time, all right? Problem solver, all the time. Collaborator, all right? I can be an I'm a collaborator by nature. This is how I approach and look and solve and do things. And I also collaborate, which is an I do. So collaboration can be an I am and an I do, all right? And so if you work primarily with, hey, I got a problem, I'm going to get some people together and collaborate, you are by a strength of a collaborator. And what do? Well, I collaborate. So it fits both of those, all right? So this is a performance question. Does this fit in the performance role? So does it match? Are we looking for the competence that you have for this according to the job description? If I hire an accountant and they're not detail-oriented, I have a problem, right? If I'm looking for somebody dealing with numbers and all that stuff, yeah, I have a problem. But, if I say I'm detail-oriented, I might cause somebody to say, do you ever get things done because you pay attention to too many of the details? There can be a negative flow on that. And since I realize that, I say I'm detail-oriented. But said my strength is I know which details to pay attention to. I've never heard anybody say that. I'm detail-oriented. Go on. Well, no. What's the value of that? What's the value of it? Well, I know which ones to pay attention to, which ones are important on that. All right? Just an example, right? So what are our top two strengths, right up to the job, and the value they bring? Don't just answer the question, hey, what can I sell here? I'm selling I am, I do, help. Oh, let me sell I am, and let me sell I help. With these strengths of boom, 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 I can do this, and that will help me achieve this. So I can sell I am, I do, I help in that answer, all right? I got to remember, I'm selling, I'm not just answering. If I respond to my strengths or ABC, done. That's not selling. Selling is saying, what's the value of the strengths? That's the important part. What do those allow us to achieve and do? So among others, they allow me to accomplish these kinds of results. Or to do that vibration feels good on my phone. And then what's the question? If you hadn't asked it, well, what strengths do you think would be for me to be successful? Which ones do you think are important? If we haven't already asked that, now's the time to say, is it a match, whatever. We don't ask questions to get data. We ask questions to talk about answers. Okay? Would you like me to tell you about a time when this particular strength, customer focus, something, came into play to achieve this kind of result? Right? So that's selling. I offer to tell a story. I don't like just telling a story without asking permission. Some people just start telling them and say, go ahead and tell them. I go the other way. I say, I don't know whether you want to hear a story or not. So I offer the result. You want me to tell you about it or not? Yes, no. If you do, fine. If you don't, fine. So I just don't tell the story because if they don't want to hear it, I'm wasting time and I'm off track. And we're not going to be talking about other things that are more important to talk about on their agenda. Weaknesses. I don't know that you'll get this question for weaknesses. What are your weaknesses? I know that Beth Galetti of Amazon puts that question in hers. She's got some stuff online that talks about hiring and whatever. She's it's another name for recruiter. The people person, VP or something like that, high up in Amazon. And so she likes to ask this question. I want to know if you recognize them, know what they are, and what are you doing about it? Oh, here's my weakness. Blop, stop. No. So you get to the biggest failure. Tell me some of your recent mistakes. What are your shortcomings? Okay. So how do we approach this type of question? So the goodness of fit again, but it's in the performance side. And so, is your performance and competence match what we're looking for in this job? So it's very general. Stay positive, okay? Select only one that has that doesn't have a big impact on the business, all right? State that the weakness using the fewest words possible. Brevity. Start with brevity. I don't need to explain all this. This is it. Sometimes I get too detailed. So what I do is, this is how I present. I'm still working on my presentation skills. I didn't tell you I couldn't present, but I'm still working on them. So I've joined Toastmasters, and I'm giving presentations, and I practice with other people, and I'm getting much better. I have a lot more confidence in giving presentations, all right? What if their job is to go around giving presentations all the time? Do you think salespeople need presentation skills? They better. They better be able to do that, all right? Be able to communicate. You think they can communicate? You think they listen well? Do you think they understand customers' needs well? What are all those skills necessary for a salesperson? A lot of times we take a salesperson who is really good at sales and we put them in charge of the sales group. All the skills for selling are poor for leading. Almost all of them. They don't make you a good leader. They don't make you a good manager. I have the philosophy that we manage tasks and we lead people, okay? So one of the things is managing tasks, the other thing is leading the people, right? So how are we improving? What are we doing about that? We don't need to ask any questions when they ask us a negative question. All right. Let me give you the strategy about negative questions in general. So this is a category, and how do we do that? So tell the truth, not the god-awful truth. Okay, what one mistake you make? Well, I go to the grocery store, I forget my coupons. And so what I do is I put them in the glove box, and now I have them when I go to the store. And I stop there. You want to know the real truth? I forget them. I don't take them in the store. I get to the cashier, I didn't bring in my coupons, so I get back in the car and look at them, they're expired. So there's the god-awful truth. But what I'm saying, here's what I do, in order to. So I tell you something about how I can do that, right? So a very short negative. It doesn't have to be recent. You can ignore recent. And for God's sake, ignore plural. Do not give them a list of reasons not to hire us. So I was talking with one guy. I said, what are your, what mistakes have you made? He said, well, one was this, another was this, and one of my, I love it when somebody says, one of my, you mean there's more? Don't say one of my, there's a whole bunch of them. Let me tell you, I'm going to answer very quickly because I know when my mistakes are on the top of my head. No. I'm going to pause. I'm going to think. I was like, wait a minute. It's hard for me to think of mistakes. It's hard for me to think of these things. Little gamesmanship here is the only place I say play it, but then little gamesmanship, okay. And so here's what it was. I didn't say I accidentally shut the data center down, all right? One guy did that. He leaned up against the wall and shut the data center down. Well, you got these service level agreements and things like that, 99% uptime and all that. Banks are down, all your customers, it's terrible. That's a huge bit. So I don't volunteer that one. I pick something else that's a nit, not a big significant thing. All right, that's negative question. So that category, there's kind of a strategy and a structure for how we approach a negative question in general. Now, goodness of fit, likes and dislikes. So likes are good, dislikes are negative. What gives you the greatest satisfaction? What do you like best about the jobs? What didn't you like your last job? What you didn't like about your last company? What did you not like about your last boss? Okay, let me throw my boss under the bus. Right? That's what they're asking us to do. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. And so how do we approach that? What do we do? So likes, motive. Really, will you enjoy this job? What do you like about this? What do you like about your job? What do you like about these things? And that says, gee, is what you like what we want you to do here and like what you do this here? I mean, that's why we're asking this question, okay? So I'm going to give the top 2 or 3 values that I have and the results that I can bring with them, okay? What do you like about your job? I like it where I can apply, and being this kind of person, I can help achieve these kinds of results. The I help is probably the least amount of things I see on job descriptions and in interviews, right, Ron? A lot of that is missing. And what they're buying us for is to help them achieve something. So let me sell to that. And let me show you how I do it. Let me show you what kind of person I am that helps me achieve that, right? So I can be detail-oriented. I hear so many people being a problem solver. I have never heard I am a problem avoider. But aren't we? Don't we find some things we observe and see something, say that needs attention, that's going wrong? It wasn't somebody that dropped something in the in basket for me to do. It was something I observed and say, hey, I know that can be a problem for us. And so I'm a visionary. I can see things ahead. I can see where we're going. And when I see where we're going, I can make sure we're on the right path to go there. And if we're not doing the things we need to do to get there, then I'm the one that can see that and show how to improve and correct. Those are the kind of things we want to talk about. That makes sense? Okay? All right. And the results I bring. So pick from your achievements list and say, well, there's nothing like turning an unhappy customer into a raving fan. That's what I like. That's what I enjoy doing. That's the result. I publish the result of it. Want me to tell you how I did that? So then I asked, do you want me to tell you how I did that? I'll be glad to tell you. They may or may not want to hear. In fact, sometimes they'll say you get a chance to ask questions at the end. You can't ask any now. Well, that tells me something. I used to interview, and I did all the questions up front. They said, okay, what questions do you have for us? But I would stay there as long as needed to stay to answer all their questions. I didn't allow them throughout the interview because I wanted to get my agenda done. So now I think, I should have done it, throughout the interview and changed it a little bit. I don't want to give people enough time to say, do you really want to find out what you need to do and want to come to work here? I'm very interested in what you want, and I want to give you the floor. I want to make sure we cover everything you want to cover. How many interviews are like that? Very few. If they don't allow us to ask questions, and I have very questions I want to ask, my first question at the interview, they said, okay, you have any questions for us? Yes. How much time do we have? Okay, got any questions for us? Body language, interview's over. You can't discuss anything. We can't talk about anything. We need, we like to do things, but it's over. So we can't really do that. So the first question is, how much time do we have? Okay, we don't. Okay. Yes, I have questions. I'd like to schedule some more time with you to ask some questions. Can we do that? Ask. You might be able to, you might not. Or I'll just send them to me in email. I can do that, but I'd rather see if we can't have a phone conversation or a phone call or a Zoom call or something like that to talk about. Could we schedule that? Don't just do what they say. Do what we need to do and ask permission to do that. Okay? Who's in charge of our job search? Us, not them. This idea of going in, interviewing, and come back and say, oh, I'm waiting for them to call me. We'll talk about that when we get to the close. All right. How are we doing so far? All right, we got to go through this a little faster. All right. So if I say that, here's a question I might want to ask. What are the customer challenges that need my change? So if I talk about changing a customer to a raving fan, I might say, how's the customers going today? What's the customer satisfied? What are the customer challenges? What's going on? Why? Because I can help with that. Tell me what the needs are. Here's a specific area. All right? Thank you. Will you enjoy your job on the likes? It's really an elimination question. So what do I really bring to this job? Well, I can bring my values and results. Very similar to the other question. So no, I went backwards. Let me go this forward. The elimination role. So dislikes. What do you not like? Oh, I don't like it. I don't like to be micromanaged, but I'm talking to a micromanager. All right? I don't like that, and I don't like this, and I don't like this. And so here's all the things I don't like. Very, very negative. Okay? So how do we approach that one? Pick from your values and achievements list. I don't like it when we are not doing these results. So what I do is, in order to achieve those results. Does that make sense? You see how that's a very positive thing? So I don't like it when customers are complaining. I don't like it when our processes are taking too long. I don't like it when we're losing bids. I don't like it when, whatever it might be that said, and you kind of look at the result. I don't like it when we're not doing those things. That shows that I'm focused on results, and it also shows that I'm in the process of helping achieve those results. So here's what I do to help achieve those kind of results. All right? Might be a question. Okay, well, if you ask me a question about how would you deal with an irate customer? Okay, here's what I do. Here's a story. I can tell you about it. Then I say, well, tell me, how's the customer ratings going today? I mean, there may be some reasons they ask that question, right? That could be the motive about it. We got a lot of customer dissatisfaction, and you're in a customer role. You'd be facing the customer. When you call the help desk, we are judging a company by that person, right? How they talk to us, how they treat us. Okay, wait a minute, I'll have to transfer you to somebody else. And then I transfer you, and I ask them, and I got to tell them it all over again. And I say, okay, wait a minute, let me transfer you to somebody else. You're telling me what that company's like, and I'm judging that by that. Compensation. How many people are concerned about the compensation question? Yep. I don't like talking about compensation, but they'll ask us right up front. So how do we deal with it? Wait a minute. Oh, now we're talking. So, what are your salary requirements? What are you making your last job? What's your minimum salary? Now, remember, the size of the company you're talking to may not be able to pay you what you're worth. It's a smaller company. You're going to make decisions based on other parameters than just the salary alone. But they may ask that. And also, what are some of the reasons behind those questions, right? They love to, I don't know why some recruiters feel like if you were making your last job this much, we can't afford that here, you're out. I don't want that to happen. Wait a minute. I know people who were making $250,000 a year and they want an $80,000 a year job now. They don't need money. This is what they want to do. This is what they enjoy doing. I want to focus on this. And $80,000 is fine. Let me decide. But no, it doesn't work all that way, right? Yes. It is. So, who's asking and where we are in the process? We would love to know the decision maker, who makes the salary decision, who makes the hiring decision in that job process. We'll talk about that in a close a little bit. So our primary objective is to keep the process going. Don't let it stop. Give me the opportunity to sell who I am, what I do, and how I can help you so that when we get there, we'll figure out what it is the right amount to pay. But don't just cut it off now, right? I don't know anything about the company. I don't know what's going on. And you're asking me this question right up front. So I want that opportunity to discuss that and talk about it if I can get it. So I want to keep the process going. Tidbit, in your applications, they ask you for sometimes a salary amount, right? And we play games. We put in $1, or we do this, and to try to get around. So we start playing games. And what is the message? Oh, we're playing games with you. right? We don't want to sell that message. So you can put a number in there, and anywhere in there in a comment space, since the application is a legal document, not your resume, not the job description, but it is a legal document, you can say all salary amounts reported in this application reflect my current salary target. So anywhere in a comment box. So you worry about what do I put in this, tell them and put it down there, okay? We don't want to play that game. So research the market. I'll give you 3 sites to take a look at that is company-provided data. Indeed is employee-provided data. Don't know if they're right or not. I'll put in any salary I want. But yes.
What if they don't have a salary range posted?
What if you don't have? Or if they don't have it posted?
But they ask you what's your, expected salary range.
Right. Well, what is it? I mean, you got a couple of options I'm going to tell you. Okay, so it's a great question to ask. All right. But do your homework and find out what the range is for this hour, this location, this industry, this kind of job, so that you kind of know what's going on. It's going to be different in California, New York, Nebraska, Alabama, Texas. Different. It's all different. Find out what it is. So early on elimination. So we can respond to nail. Respond is given an answer, and then we're going to nail them. Or we can repel and nail. Let me define nailing. Nailing is, and I'm interested, what is your range? So whether I give them a number, I say, and I'm interested, what is your range? If I don't give them a number, I want to say, and what is your range? I'm going to ask them in both cases. I have found a lot of people say, I don't want to talk about it now. I'd rather talk about it later, something like that. Well, I want to know it now. So that doesn't often work. So how can we do that? Well, I'm going to give them a reason not to answer now in my repelling. So I'd be glad to answer that question. Every time you're not going to answer directly, you want to redirect, you show that I heard the question, I'll be glad to answer. I'll answer it. I'll come back. But can we talk about this? And so can you tell me more about the job, the responsibilities, the authority levels, decision-making, visibility, all these things during that job? Tell me all about that to help me make this decision, but I'm interested, what is your range? So I'm giving them a reason not to answer now. Good luck. Doesn't usually work, but what does it say? It says, this is how I evaluate salary. These are the things I look at. These are the factors. I look at the total package. It's not just the definite when I'm making a decision about that. And so I'm telling you all the things that I consider for that, so that if nothing else, they know how I'm evaluating the salary. That's an important message to send, even though it may not be a direct answer. But at some point in time, you'll have to give them a number. So you can give them a range. So, well, based upon what I know now, I love that phrase, I think X to Y. Doesn't say I agree to that, but that's what I'm expecting. All right, I'll go in on with that. So overqualified. Anybody worried about being overqualified? Got a few people out there, all right? So lower level, keep less scope, et cetera. It's about time for me to quit. Here's all the different motives, a whole bunch of, there's more motives behind this question than any other question. There's more reasons, tons of them. By the way, this handout, we don't have a handout for this that I've given so that you can get access to this presentation. So target right. Target to the kind of job that you're looking for and the company, the size of it. Then you would agree that I'm qualified. Yeah, well, yeah. I say, okay, yeah, you're all qualified. So I'm kind of moving them from the negative to the positive, all right? Now, strategy and structure is this. This is the job I want. This is where I want to work. This is it. This is the place. What's the common motive behind this question? You won't be happy here and you will leave. No, it won't. This is the job. This is the company. This is it. Ooh. All right? Convince me of that. If you don't have some energy and passion and interest in this job and this company and show that and demonstrate that, I'm not convinced. You can't just say, I like this job, I like this company. You got to show some energy and passion and or interest if you're not really a strong extrovert, all right? It's a company where we want to work. I'd never accept a position where I'm committed. That's directly to the most frequently used motive. I'm not going to invest time in you for you to leave. You're not a risk. So I'm not a read. Age discrimination, you might worry about that? We're not going to stop that. It's going to exist. It's out there. It's wrong. It's illegal. They're not doing it, but you can't prove it. You can't do anything about it. So it's just there. So how do we deal with it? So my question about you is, how much energy level do you have? In other words, don't act old. All right? Okay? The military calls that walk with purpose. All right? Stand up straight. Put your shoulders back. This is how you look. This type. You're going to judge me by my energy level. I'm 82 years old, but I have energy. Do you believe I have it? Am I demonstrating my energy? You can see it, right? But I'm an old guy, all right? But I don't look forward to being 83. And the problem is, I think I'm going 83, and then when I get to my birthday, I think I'm 84 because I've been thinking 83. Anyway, energy is one of the major things. Can we adapt to change? Can we talk with a younger team? Are our skills current? We stay here, all those motives. So we address that throughout the interview. We show that. When I tell you I want to work here, when I give you examples of stories, I have energy and passion on how I did it, what I liked. One of the guys at the picture said, "Oh, that was a fun one." When he said, "Give me an example." "Oh, that was," and he had fun doing that. Oh, that was, everybody on the panel thought that was base. So demonstrate that. Share examples of how you process change. Walt, you haven't been through enough change. What do you mean haven't been through enough change? You know how much change I've seen over the years? And if I don't adapt and abuse it, AI, it's here. If you're not learning about it, we're behind. It's just a fact. It's just a simple fact. So these are options and things you can do to fight that age. Give me examples, collaborating, mentoring, coaching, all these reasons why I'm going to show you that none of those are of concern. I'll do it all this way. All right. Behavioral event interviewing. Familiar with STAR stories? Who's not familiar with STAR stories? Okay, everybody knows situation, task, action, result. I really strongly suggest that. And the reason why is they're memorable. We remember the stories and put them to you. The other things, I don't remember all the numbers, but I remember the stories. That's why they're so powerful, right? So there's behavioral, there's a document. I think I sent you a copy of that, Pete.
Thank you. This entire presentation will be up on our website. So those of you taking screenshots, that's great. But you'll have access to the presentation later on at the end of the week. Walt, as long as I have your attention, I know you got a few more slides to go. Can we take a break and then come back and finish? Is that okay with you?
I'm about through.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yes.
Then go for it.
Okay, let me just finish, all right?
Okay.
So this is an example of that document. It says, here's a competency, and here's the type of questions you might get. Or if you're an interviewer, here's the type of questions you might ask, all right, for that document. So that can help you prepare for that. Always match it to the job description. So STARS, situation, task, action, result. 90 seconds max, tell that story. Go right through it. They want more detail, go through it. What's the result? Results are probably the weakest part. So what did that happen? So I want you to go through, and here's what happened as a result of that. And then what happened because of that? Okay, and what happened because of that? And just take it up, all right? Because I'm down here at a level where I don't see all the things that I do, but I enable this, and when I enable this, that helps us do that, and when we do, and walk it up, all right? We underestimate the value of our job and our results. So, as a result, STAR stories are so significant because of these particular reasons. You can look at that in the handout. They're very, very positive. I strongly recommend we attempt to sell and we prepare STAR stories, all relevant to the job. So look at your resume, put everything down on a table. This is one way you can do it. What's my experience with that particular item? What's the value add? Is there a STAR story associated with it out of my library? Okay. So we're going to be evaluated by our questions. So what questions do we have? So about 50% are talking in generics, and then 50% are going to be based on particular items. I want to know more about the company. I want to know about the industry. I want to know that. And so I saw this. I listened to your quarterly earnings report. President said we need to develop products with a higher margin. Why that question? He's in product development. I can help you with that. Find those. Check the 10Ks for public companies. What does the company say about itself in the management discussion and analysis section? What is the about section on LinkedIn? What is your research done about that company? Do a SWOT analysis on a company. Find out those things, right? So there's another document that you can look up. Here's the link to it for about questions. And why do you want this job? If we can't tell them why we want this job, all right, I need the money, I need the health benefits, I'm raising kids, I got kids trying to go to college, my car's broken down, those are not going to help us, right? So we talk about the things we can accomplish with them. Last thing, closing the sale. Show interest. Oh, I really like this job. I'm really interested in doing this. I like this role. I like this point. I like the company. I like the mission. I like your vision. I like your values. And I'm going to list them. I'm going to state them, what they are. I'm not just saying I like them in general. I like your values of A, B, C. Okay? Not just I like your values. Because you're saying they match. I like them. It's a match for me. I'm selling that when I do that, right? Do a trial close. How do you see me fitting into this role? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do I compare to the ideal candidate? Don't ask, how do I compare with other candidates? It tells you nothing. Yeah, you compare pretty good, but that doesn't mean you're going to get an offer. So don't ask that question. Ask, how do I compare to the ideal? How do I compare to the top candidate? The message is the question, not the answer. The message is, I don't want to be the top candidate. I want to be evaluated on a scale of 1 to 10. I want to be a 10, all right? That's what we're selling, because they're not going to tell us. They can't tell us anything. Legal's got them all clammed up. Can't say anything, all right? So, know the hiring process from initial all the way through and update it. How many people are you going to interview? Who's the hiring manager? Who makes the decision? Who makes the salary decision? Who makes the hiring decision? All those questions about their whole process. How do you get on board here? Know that. What's their time frame? Know the time frames. Understand. And then we know. Some people say, I don't know when to call them back. I say, okay, ask them. Simple. So will I hear back from someone? Who will it be? Okay, Ron, when should I expect to hear back from you? Okay, Friday of next week. And Ron, if I don't hear back from you Friday, can I call you on Monday at 2 o'clock? What's your phone number? All right, I'm in charge of my job search. Oh, just send me an email. Ron, I'll be glad to send you an email. Can I get your phone number just in case? Will it be all right if I'll give you a call? Don't just take what they say. Shoot for the moon. Go for more. They can say no. But what are we demonstrating with that? This is how we work. We don't take a customer and they say, well, just send me an email. I say, great, but I'd like to tell you. This is how we work. This is showing and demonstrating them. This is what we do in the workplace. We don't just take your word for it and stop and go. We're going forward, all right? Very important. And the farewell, same as energy and enthusiasm. I'm not going to play the video. Any irrelevant questions? We got no time left. We can do that after. Okay, you're in charge, Pete.